Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Waterbury Board of Education workshop. We'll begin tonight with a silent prayer. Vice President Rodriguez, would you please lead us in the pledge? To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, and welcome, everyone. We have a very packed agenda, so we'll begin right away. We'll start with our illustrious principal tonight of Duggan School.
Yes, good evening. My name is Dr. Frazier. I'm the principal of Duggan School, and with great pleasure tonight, I'd like to introduce to you my student council. Student council, please come up. Miss Katie Clow is the student council advisor, and she's going to lead this presentation.
My students are going to start off with the Duggan Pledge, which they say every morning at morning meeting.
I pledge to be a Duggan School Dragon.
I pledge to be a Duggan School Dragon.
And as a Duggan School Dragon, I promise to do my best. Respect myself and others. Always be polite. Give a helping hand. Obey all school rules. Never give up. Stay positive. Because I am a Duggan School Dragon.
School Dragon.
Woo! On behalf of Student Council, I would like to welcome you all here to Duggan School. Tonight you will be viewing a presentation about the various activities Student Council has implemented over the past school year. There will be a time at the end for any questions you may have.
This is my first year as student council advisor. This year has been a great start for the future of Duggan School Student Council. This group began campaigning for their roles by creating posters as well as giving speeches in front of their 6th, 7th, and 8th grade peers. Once they were elected in their roles, they began brainstorming ideas that would help make Duggan an even better place to be. I'm so proud of these students for what they have accomplished this year. They will now introduce to you their role that they play in Student Council.
I'm Ayana Figueroa, and I play the role as president.
I'm Joseph Rodriguez, and I play the role as vice president.
Same as
I'm Brianna Bryant, and I play the role of secretary.
I'm Jalen Dukas, and I am treasurer.
I'm Jamel Edwards, 8th grade representative.
I'm Naomi Figueroa. I'm an 8th grade representative.
I'm Nicole Salcedo, the 6th grade representative.
I'm Martin Herrera, and I'm a 6th grade representative.
Student Council here at Duggan is a group of high-achieving students who are voted to help the student body. We aim to find solutions and ideas that will not only help our school, but make it better. In today's presentation, we'll be showing you some of our accomplishments. Student Council has developed many successful and helpful operations that we would like to introduce to you today.
Programs implemented this year are Buddy Breakfast, Food Drive, Penny Drive, Snack Sale, Pumpkin Sale, School Store, Adopt a Kindergartner, 8th grade fundraiser, and Fit Friday initiative.
The buddy system. Each 8th grader on Student Council was assigned a buddy in kindergarten. The aim of this program was for the Student Council members to help a student in kindergarten who may be having a hard time transitioning behaviorally. 3 times a week, the Student Council members would visit their buddies for breakfast to check on how they were doing.
If the buddies were having a good day, the Student Council members would take their buddies out of class at the end of the day for some... Yeah, the slide is cut off. At Christmas time, the Student Council had a big buddy breakfast. Each kindergarten buddy was given a bag of goodies for the holidays. Student Council also adopted a different kindergartner for Christmas. They all bought gifts to shower her with before she left for the Christmas break.
Student Council pulled on a food drive around Thanksgiving and Christmas time. They created a contest that whichever classroom brought on the most canned goods would receive a cookies and milk party. All of the teachers' names were posted in the entrance hallway, and each day the Student Council updated the amount of canned goods for each class. We collected over 800 canned goods for the Salvation Army.
Student Council completed a penny drive for the Waterbury homeless. Ayana and Joseph went to each homeroom every morning collecting coins. At the end, Duggan School collected over $400. The supervisor for the Waterbury homeless attended our morning meeting, and Student Council presented him with a check.
Wow.
We would like to thank you again for visiting our school tonight. Student Council has been working hard to create programs that will be able to succeed and improve throughout the years. If there are any questions, please feel free to ask now. Thank you.
Any questions?
Ms.
Commissioner
Harvey?
Thank you.
Harvey?
Thank you. You know, I am so proud of you. I hope that you will continue on with being on the student council, not only here at Duggan, but when you go on to high school, if you choose to go to college, which I hope you do, that as well, because you don't know where that's going to lead. When I attended school, when I was in grammar school, I could not, we didn't have a student council, and I wish they had it, because when I got to high school, I was so ready to, you know, do marches on Washington and things like that. I think if they had dissipated some of that energy, yeah, well, I know, that I wouldn't have been as gun-ho, but I just feel that I got a lot out of the student council. So stick with it. It has a lot to do with service to your community. That's very key. So you know, just please try to stick with that and know that you're doing a big service to your community. My question to all of you is, we can start with the president. What is the most that you enjoy about being on the student council?
Me personally, I most enjoyed having a buddy in student council because it gave me a chance to have a bond with a younger child that I wouldn't have gotten without student council itself, and it helped me learn more about smaller kids and how to help them throughout their problems and stuff.
Nice.
Excellent.
Personally, my favorite part of being in student council was growing close with each member in student council. Beginning in this 8th grade year, I didn't think it would be this fun, but over the past year, doing these activities with these people has brought us close together, and it's been fun.
Personally, my favorite part of being a part of student council was also the buddy system. It was good to like have a relationship with a younger person and be their role model for when they come to 8th grade and look back on this moment.
I personally liked just like being able to help students around the school. And I liked the fact that they could like come to us with their problems if they had any.
To me, I liked being in student council. I liked having a buddy and help him learn and get better on his work so that when he grows up, he could do a lot of things that he would like, and one day he could join student council and being with my friends at student council.
I personally also liked doing the buddy breakfast and having a buddy period because I'm the youngest in my family, so like I don't really have a younger sibling, and it felt like I really did have a younger sibling, younger than me.
I really like doing the penny drive.
Great.
My favorite is the food drive because we got to help homeless people get food and be comfortable.
Beautiful. Excellent. Excellent. Let's give him a hand. Nice. All right. I'll wrap this up, but you all have school pride, right? I mean, I heard you state it.
Yeah.
Correct? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, so I just want you to know that I rode with, on my way over here, I rode with a dragon who graduated in, what year did he graduate? 1945. All right? And he still had that school pride. He wanted to, he knew that I was coming to Duggan, and he said, I want to see, he lives in the area, but he has that school pride. So I'm going to say to you, always keep that school pride. Wherever you go, always keep that Duggan school pride. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And our own Vice President Rodriguez has a question.
Yeah, no, I don't have a question. I have more of a comment, and I want to echo Commissioner Harvey. I'm extremely proud of you guys. You guys are all leaders up there. I'm really impressed because in addition to the schoolwork that you're doing and getting good grades, you guys are mentors to your buddies. And that's so important to sort of be a role model. In addition to that, you guys are doing community service and giving back to the community you live in. So you're taking it outside of just the educational boundaries. And for me, I'm really impressed. Particularly, I want to give a special shout out to Joseph. One, we have a lot in common, Joseph. You're a Rodriguez, I'm a Rodriguez. You're the vice president, I'm the vice president. But you're a lot cooler than I am. So keep up the good work. I'm really proud of all of you guys.
Thank you.
Nice job.
Thank you.
Commissioner Van Stone?
Thank you, Madam President. First, I'd like to thank the principal because for a change, we do see it now and then. Our presentation from the school was from the students, and I thank you for that. You know, we go through presentations and someone's sitting there clicking the button and showing us pictures, but we heard from your students, so I thank you. Now I'm going to ask a question that the superintendent probably won't like, but she's used to questions from me that she doesn't like, so don't worry about it.
Uh-oh.
You're in a K-8. That is the future of Waterbury. Which means by missing going to a middle school, you don't have sports teams. I see one shaking her head, no. But where do you think, you tell us, the board members, because remember, the superintendent and your principal, they work for us.
Commissioner, you really think I'm not going to endorse sport teams?
I know you will, but
yeah, do you
I have
really,
to ask, you know,
well,
and I have
go
to ask
for
the
it.
question.
Go for it.
Good.
Well, let me hear about how that is going, because I know that's been a question asked to me before, that now that we go to K-8, I know there are some school teams that have 7th and 8th grade teams, but they're usually the parochial schools. So let me know how you guys are doing and what you think about the future. You tell us what the future should be for sports teams.
Oh. Okay, well, we have intramurals where we play 6th through 8th grade against each other's in this school, but I personally don't have a problem with not having a sports team here because I currently am playing for Westside's football team.
Really?
Good for you. And they accepted the fact that I was from another school and the fact that I was a female, which I don't have a problem with, knowing that we don't have the same opportunity here. Does anyone want to?
I believe that it's not a bad thing that we don't have sports here because it gives the 6th through 8th grades time to interact with each other with certain amount of time of different sports, learning different things. And it also gives us a chance to go out into the community and meet new people, signing up for activities elsewhere. Like I play for basketball for Hoops for Life in POW, and I've met a lot of great friends going through those programs and just meeting new people that I would have met at my school.
Anybody else?
I believe that if we were to implement a program where we would actually have a real sports team and go out and go against other sports teams, it would allow us students to connect to each other one-on-one, because we would have that sense of pride in our own school. Going against another school, we would be very competitive, and we'll have that sense of bond, you know? So, yeah.
Oh. Yeah, like I was saying, I just don't feel as if there's enough students here that would be able to play against other schools. Like, for a team, I don't think we would have enough kids who are as advanced as other schools, knowing they have, plenty of other students. Does anyone else?
Okay.
Any other questions?
Very nice. And Commissioner Sweeney?
So I really like this buddy thing you got going on because, you know, that was a vision of the pre-K through 8 model, was that the upperclassmen would look out for and mentor the younger classmen. So I'm very happy to hear that's going on here. I'm very pleased with that. But I would hope that you would spread it beyond the student council and to the whole student body, because you really, all of the 6th, 7th, and 8th graders really should be mentoring the younger students in the school. And obviously, it works on both sides. So the kindergartners are certainly benefiting, but it's very clear that each of you, as participating in that, that you are benefiting as well. So spread it around, okay?
Any other questions? Well, congratulations, great job, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. That was a very good principal's report. Number 2, discussion, the Harvey Hubble documentary. Good evening.
Okay, good evening. We're here tonight. What's that? Or maybe not. So we're here tonight to discuss a very exciting opportunity with the board, where we have the possibility of having a documentary filmed right here in Waterbury by filmmaker Harvey Hubble, who will introduce Harvey, and he'll introduce his team in just a bit. But what happened, one day I was driving home and I got a call from Margie Gillis. You know her well from Literacy How and our partnership with them. And Margie says to me, Dina, listen, we got to talk. I have this filmmaker, Harvey Hubble, wonderful guy, wonderful, wonderful. He wants to film a documentary about literacy and kids learning and learning how to read. And he asked me where can I go in Connecticut? And Margie said Waterbury. She said, you want to film a documentary on kids learning how to read? You want to film a documentary on what a school system does to support professional learning around literacy? You want to film a documentary where a community all comes together for the benefit of the kids? She's like, you want to go to Waterbury. So you do have a letter. I believe Carrie put it in your packet. It says, why Waterbury? Margie couldn't be here tonight, but she did send a statement that explains, you know, why she recommended the film to be here in Waterbury. So it's very exciting. It's quite an honor. And we have Harvey here and his team tonight to talk to you a little bit about the project and talk about your feelings on that. And we have a short little video clip too. I think that's the noise we keep hearing in the background to share with you. So without further ado, Mr. Harvey Hubble.
Howdy, how are you? I'm Harvey Hubble. I'm honored to be here. I brought some of our crew with us. This is Courtney. She's our coordinator. She's my frontal lobe. And over there is James and Olga. They're project managers, editors, and camera folk. So I know Margie Gillis. I've worked with Margie for many years. And that's exactly what we wanted to do. We wanted to document what good teaching looks like. So following first graders and kindergartners per month, and watching them as they learn the magic of learning how to read and learning how to write. To me, that's an incredible thing to be able to do. And that Margie has been here for 16 years, for a long time, working. So I know that the partnership is a good partnership. And for us, as documentary camera people, we try not to interfere with things. We just want to be able to watch the magic happen. So we would be honored to be able to do that.
We do have a handout too for you. It's called seedlingtv.com. Do you want to just talk a little bit about?
So I've been a filmmaker for my entire adult life, and started doing documentaries not too long ago, maybe 15 years ago. And we want to do educational films, mostly educational films. So the distribution world is a little bit different, has kind of changed. You work really hard putting your blood, sweat, and tears onto the screen, and distributors could do anything with it. What we want to do now is get it directly out to, with the internet, get it directly out to educators. So we started Seedling.tv, which this is going to be a trailer for, and again, the amount of educational films, the amount of people we work with Orton Gillingham Academies, we work with a lot of neuroscientists and master educators. And we travel all over the country. We are Connecticut natives. We live on a farm not very far from here. And so it's easy access for us to be able to get here. So we can show you what our trailer looks like, and we'd love to talk to you more about it after that.
Great.
Yeah, well, they're going to work through that.
While we're waiting to work out the technical difficulties, we have met with, obviously, Harvey Hubble, and we've also been in touch with Corporation Counsel to make sure that Waterbury is shown in a positive light. So we want to get that information out to you immediately. Corporation Counsel has reviewed the project and is very excited to assist in the legal technicalities that go along with a project of this nature. Next being said, we did have to brainstorm and discuss the schools that we thought would capture the mission and vision of Harvey's documentary. Of course, all of our schools could be candidates, but we decided to go with 2 schools, one being Sprague Elementary School and the other Gilmartin School. Why did we choose those schools? There's multifaceted. Harvey's very interested in the community aspect of Waterbury as an urban district and how the community gives back to the community. So that being said, for Sprague School, our principal, Mrs. Diane Bakewell, is a Waterbury native, grew up in Waterbury, educated in Waterbury. Her father was a teacher in Waterbury. Now she's a principal in Waterbury. The teachers at Sprague, many of them have that same background. So it's a true community. So I can speak to why Sprague School was chosen to be part of this very exciting project. Mrs. Boehm can speak to Gilmartin being chosen as the other school.
All right, we have.
It's on.
Is it on? Okay, thank you. I have Mrs. Dwyer, Jennifer Dwyer, over to my left, and she is a Waterbury native, a product of the Waterbury school system, as is her vice principal, who is a student of mine at Wallace Middle School, and that is Ms. Talisha Foy. The camaraderie within the buildings that we chose, I think, speaks for itself. They have a very family-oriented faculty and staff, and we thought that they would just be perfect for the project that we're all so proud to be presenting.
There's Will. Can Will help?
Turn the lights on.
Okay, well, we just came in with, we made a trailer for Seedling.tv, which is our hey, do we want to show the Diana one? So we just came in and tried that a couple of minutes before.
Mr. Zudo is in the house. Maybe you could help out. Our IT expert is here. I have a question while we're waiting, though, in terms of, this sounds very exciting. Who is the actual audience for this?
I would say educators, not only master educators, but a lot of people. I mean, Waterbury is incredibly fortunate to be working with Margie Gillis, who came out of Haskins Laboratory down at Yale New Haven. So other educators would love to be able to see that and learn. And as we said, again, with community, I think it teaches a lot more than just what Margie's going to be bringing to the table. We're going to be learning about community and how community, it takes a community to raise a village, doesn't it? To raise a child, doesn't it?
Great. Yes, we've been very happy to have the systemic scientific approach to reading in our school district for many years now. We were one of the first pilots in Connecticut once Margie left the sanctity of the laboratory and started to apply her research. We were one of the first states actually to have that expertise, and we're very excited that it has really taken root. Waterbury, I can say, with Dina and former teachers and administrators, we've really embedded that practice in I believe, the research is so clear in the science of reading. And one thing, I don't know if you can get this across, this may be a little bit of a stretch, but what we found out is that in our schools of higher education, reading was not being taught in the teaching preparatory classes. So we found that really, because reading is just fundamental to learning. So we really have tried to move higher ed into really understanding that in order to prepare teachers, they have to know the science of reading, and regardless of what grade they're in, because we have kids who are in high school who struggle with reading. So I don't know if that's part of the message, but teacher preparation is just critical, and we're not there as a state, and we're not there as a country in terms of how we prepare our teachers for teaching elementary and fundamental. So that's just my little take here in terms of a message that we really are doing a disservice to teachers because they're not trained. They get into that classroom, and Dina, you know, they get into that classroom, and reading is a science. It's not something, just love of a book is not going to do it with children. So.
No, we're in full agreement with you on that, and we also work with, well, when I talked with Sylvia Richardson many years ago, and I said, Sylvia, what would be how do we fix this? And she said, it's teacher training,
right.
And reading is rocket science.
It is.
So you'll see as we touch base with master educators, and we can always bring in experts. We would always want to do interviews with experts of what's going on here and what are we seeing, so we can actually
That's great.
Watch the magic of it.
Great.
So I think this
You
is going to
ready?
be, this is a long-awaited trailer here. So, and I think it also, we're ready to go?
Hi, I'm Harvey Hubble V. I'm a documentary filmmaker. And I had a crazy thought. What if we planted stories like seeds? Could stories take root and help people and communities learn, grow, and thrive? Could stories sprout and spread new skills, smarts, and positive change? That's the idea we're planting here with Seedling.tv.
We have to change the way we educate kids, or we are at the end of Rome. And it's burning.
Schools need to change! Schools need to change! Education revolution! Education revolution! Education revolution!
We have a mass production mindset in education. And it's got to go away.
And I'll do great stuff when I grow up. I want to be an astronaut. I want to be a teacher. I want to be a doctor.
But don't let school get in the way of your learning. The key to promote lifelong learning is to encourage that engagement and that thirst for knowledge.
I think inside of every great idea is the seed of a story that has the power to grow and create positive change for communities and individuals. That's our mission here at Seedling.tv.
There are adults, there are elders, there are teachers in
your community who are there, who sincerely, authentically are on your side.
They believe that they can make it a better place.
Seedling.tv sources the best practices from educators, scientists, artists, and thought leaders, and shares these skills through visual storytelling by great film and media makers. Come see what we got growing on.
Sounds very exciting. Any questions, commissioners? Do you have any questions? I think we really look forward to this, and thank you to Principal Dwyer and the staff for really embracing this. It's probably more effort and time on your part, but that's what we do in Waterbury. We have the most dedicated teachers and staff that we can hope for. So thank you very much for coming tonight. Look forward to it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
What would be the release time on that?
We're actually going to release this as a mini-series as we're going along. We will, again, a lot of films that I've worked on have taken 7 years or 5 years. This is going to be going as maybe a month or so behind us, trailing. So we would like to show per month.
Cool.
And then it would be available on Seedling. And then at some time we might cut it into a larger piece.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Thank you very much.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Hernandez.
When are you going to start?
When do we start? We've actually talked to Margie and the mentors already. So, I mean, for us, we would love to start yesterday. I mean, again, as you say it, we've been thinking about it, working on it, and so I guess we're already started. We're in the shoot.
So we have consensus tonight, right, board members, commissioners? Yes?
I believe so, sure.
Yes, all right. We don't need a formal vote on this, correct?
No.
All right, you're good.
Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda is number 3, request approval of the educational technology plan. This has come before us, and we are hearing again from our IT guy, Mr. Shuda. The issue before us was the involvement of some other people on the committee to really look at this, so we're looking forward to your update.
Sure. I'll wait for Darren to join us. Thanks for having me.
You can start, Will. Just give
Yeah,
an update.
okay. So since we met last, you guys asked us to find some students and also some community members. So we went out, Paul White, actually Paul is here. Paul identified students in each high school.
Nice.
So actually Crosby created a committee and actually submitted some recommendations to the tech plan that we're going to try to incorporate into the plan. Let me say louder. And then,
Great.
and as far as the community member, we have some specs that Steve Strand wrote, identifying some of the skill sets that we're going to be looking for, and we're going to go off that list and work with Mary Ann Merrill, who has some parents who are willing to volunteer, and we'll present that to them and ask them if they want to be involved in the process.
Great, thank you.
Do you want to hear any of the comments some of the students have already made?
Sure.
Okay. So many of the students were asking for more training in Google Classrooms with their personal Gmail accounts instead of using the district Waterbury K-12 account. Students were interested in generating a form for homework and questions with their peers. So they were also looking into the use of wiki spaces as a possible tool for collaboration and communication. Students want a more collaborative, student-based technology component, more online communication possibly between students and teachers, if possible. They gave their opinion on Chromebooks and their feeling on that. Also, using the teaching in the classroom, they seem to really like the handheld devices where you can do Kahoot or Quizlet, which is it's on-the-spot assessment that they could either use a handheld device or possibly even a cell phone to answer questions in class. Teacher gets real-time feedback. So they did provide some excellent student-level suggestions for the technology plan. We look forward to including it.
Great.
Yeah, those will go back to committee, and then the committee will find out where to incorporate which goal and objective they match.
Sounds good.
Just
Any
one,
questions? Okay.
just one other note. I believe it went out to the board. Among the student members on the committee are two of the students who were among the winners of the state competition in IT, where they've ranked among the top in the state and 150 and 151 across the entire nation among high school students
right.
who work in the IT field for the Career Academy.
I know,
So,
Will.
these
you
are the
might
guys
not
who will
have
be
a job
taking,
soon.
exactly.
That's exciting.
I'm already put my resume out.
Are there any questions,
Yes.
Commissioner?
Yeah, I just kind of breezed over, Will, the issue of the parents. Where are you getting the names from? You
So
said
Mary Ann Merrill gave me a list of parents that, community members, parents and community members that she believes these are part of the governance council. So
Okay.
we're going to probably try to look to them first
All
and
right.
see if they meet the skill set. We're going to ask them a series of questions, see
Okay.
if they meet the skill set, and ask them if they want to participate. Because remember, we want participation. We want people who will be willing to participate, and not just
Yes.
pick and sit there. So, but we're open to suggestions. So if somebody has somebody, when somebody of this board member knows somebody that they want to submit, we're open to anybody. So this is not like, we're excluding anybody.
All
If we
right.
have 1, 2, or 5, it'll help the process.
Okay, can I sneak a peek at that list when we're done?
Yeah,
Just, can I
definitely.
just look at that?
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, well, it sounds like we're moving along, and thank you very much for your cooperation and working with us. Thank you.
No problem. Sorry about the mistake, and I'm glad you guys, approved this. Thank you.
Okay, next we have our illustrious Kevin Egan, who's going to add to the positive spirit of this meeting. So far, it's been all good news.
Illustrious, I like that, illustrious.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks to my executive board staff who helped me out with handing out the report we compiled for you, and special thanks to our CEA UNISERV rep, Jim Tessitore, who has played a huge impact in helping us develop this report for you guys tonight. Distinguished board members, my name is Kevin Egan, president of the Waterbury Teachers Association, an organization comprised of 1,600 of the finest professional educators in the state of Connecticut. I come before you tonight with the goal of raising awareness to a number of troubling developments this school year that pose a threat to the continuation of educational progress in Waterbury. Please know that the issues do not lie with the students nor with our teachers. Indeed, every Waterbury teacher that we represent wants desperately to effectuate educational excellence for Waterbury students. Every day, our teachers devote themselves to the city students, both in the classrooms, on the athletic fields, and in the various student clubs. Every day, our students come to school looking for opportunity and for the kind of hands-on, dynamic teaching that our teachers strive to provide above all else a goal that motivates and inspires the collective efforts of Waterbury students and teachers alike. I can state today that our teachers' commitment and zeal to attainment of these goals remain intact, despite major obstacles that have been put in place that jeopardize all of our efforts. One such obstacle to teacher and student success revolves around the direction of English language arts in Waterbury. For over 2 years now, the WTA has heard from hundreds of Waterbury ELA teachers expressing concern for their students, and this concern derives from the claims of a systemic decline in programming quality and consistency as a result of numerous directives from the Department of Learning, and specifically changes made to the ELA curriculum and assessment testing. These concerns ultimately led to the WTA conducting 2 surveys over the past several months, undertaken by 365 ELA teachers on a variety of topics related to assessment and curriculum effectiveness, communication, teacher support, and morale. The report that the WTA has presented to you tonight is based on the survey, and I must disclose that the results are disheartening, as over 80% of ELA teachers report low morale as a result of recent curriculum and assessment changes, as reported on page 4 of my executive summary and pages 11 and 18 of the comprehensive survey report. A significant majority of ELA teachers also report that current instructional focus is negatively impacting student learning and instruction, as reported on page 11. Regarding professional support and guidance with respect to the new curriculum, over 65% of middle and high school ELA teachers say there is minimal or no professional support, guidance, and assistance provided by the learning department officials, as reported on page 17 of the report. In every category, surveyed ELA teachers are worried for their students about the current direction of the ELA department. Perhaps more compelling are the actual teacher comments provided throughout the report and in the appendixes, as this is where we hear the true passion of our teachers and student advocacy at its most compelling. The WTA implores all of you to focus on the survey comments in order to see in practical terms how fanciful ideologies lacking careful and deliberate planning result in disjointed and unrealized programmatic expectations that undermine our teachers and create a level of hopelessness in terms of the direction the district is headed. Most of the teacher comments revolve around the learning department's over-reliance on student assessment testing at the expense of student learning, as our teachers continue to have their teaching time stripped away by endless assessments, many of which are not even mandated by the state and have no pedagogical value. I have a very simple message to combat this epidemic. Please allow our teachers to teach. Lucky for the city, our teachers are resilient and will fight for what is right for their students. We believe the spirit of resiliency, passion, and student concern is echoed throughout this report, because on pages 20 and 21, we have summarized the current deficiencies and made corrective recommendations to the board. We hope this report provides a level of insight and perspective from our teachers to the board, and we hope that you will accept this survey as part of a larger effort to ensure our teachers have every resource they need to bring their passion and spirit of learning back to our city's students. Another matter of great concern to all of our teachers is the recent decline of WTA district relations. In the last 8 months, 33 grievance complaints have been filed, a number greater than in any previous year of the WTA's existence, and there is still over a month of school remaining. In addition, there have been a multitude of arbitrations, unfair labor practice complaints, and related legal disputes that have cost the district and their taxpayers likely thousands of dollars in legal and other processing fees. In the past, many of these claims would be amicably settled in the early stages or without resorting to formal filings. However, the breakdown in communication and inability of school officials to resolve many of these disputes continues to be the prime factor in the escalation of issues to more serious and costly levels of legal complexity. This failure to resolve matters quickly, or in many cases, fail to respond at all, also has a negative impact on teacher morale, as the district's unresponsiveness to legitimate teacher concerns only exacerbates an already strained dynamic between district and WTA officials and the teachers that we represent. Other matters of great concern to the WTA involve the lack of district support for teachers faced with student discipline issues, as a failure to adequately support teachers addressing real disciplinary concerns. Ultimately, this has an adverse impact on the students who come to school every day prepared to learn. In addition, burdensome special education testing protocols that are overwhelming our hardworking special education teachers and substitute teachers filling long-term positions that should legally be filled with WTA professional staff. Every one of these issues could be resolved if district educational department leadership would be willing to tackle these challenges and work mutually to resolve them. Unfortunately, the longer these important matters go unresolved, the harder it becomes to fix them. The low morale, the lack of resources, the absence of curriculum, the lost communication, the top-down philosophy, the detachment of district officials to our teachers on the front line, all of it. The magnitude of these concerns has risen to a level I feel compelled to be here tonight. I could not in good conscience ignore the desperation I have heard from so many fine teachers over so many months. The running theme for every Waterbury teacher is that they want to support their students in every way possible. Nothing more and nothing less. I ask you tonight, please give them that chance. Thank you. I'll take any questions.
I will take questions, but we're not going to get into the details right now. These things are obviously, Mr. Egan, serious issues that you've raised, and I think it behooves us to really look seriously at them, but in this forum tonight is not the forum to get into the details, but we definitely will. Commissioner Van Stone.
Thank you, Madam President, through you. Mr. Egan, prior to you coming before us as chairman of the curriculum committee, I have asked central office to bring every single curriculum we have, which are hundreds, before this board for final approval. Hopefully you've been part of that, or your group has been part of that, because we need to finalize curriculum. So that request has already been put upon central office, so I'm already going after that. As far as special education, I've also asked, and through President Brown, we are looking into top to bottom how we teach our special education students. So maybe that hasn't been publicized, but as a board, we are looking into both those issues. So I want to assure you that has not gone by the wayside as far as this board's concerned. We are looking into both those issues.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Okay? But there's always two sides of the coin, right? We're in some difficult budget times right now. We have to look at every account we have. And that other side of the coin is we have a very large budget to pay substitute teachers, which I know I brought to the table, although we had other major concerns, an attendance policy for teachers. We have chronic attendance. We need to address that. And if you need our help with curriculum, we need your help with getting rid of chronic attendance problems. It's costing this city a lot of money. And if we want to go down the middle, and you and I have plenty of off-the-record conversations, we need to meet in the middle. So I've told you what I'm doing in curriculum. We also need you to come help us with chronic attendance. So that's my request to you. You know I will work with you, I always have, but there's always two sides of the coin, okay? So thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Harvey.
Thank you. Kevin, thank you for coming forward
Thank you,
with
Commissioner.
this. I only wish we could have received this a little bit sooner, but know that I intend
Well, I'm
to
not
go-
going anywhere, so I could always respond afterwards.
Okay.
At any time.
All right, and that's kind of where I'm heading, but look at page 4 for me for a quick minute. Am I reading this correctly? During the period of October 2017 through February 2017, do you mean 16? October 6, 2016?
Your question again, Commissioner?
Look at the first, page 4.
Mm-hmm.
During the period of October 2017 through February 2017?
Yes.
Is that 2016 or?
It should be 2016, yes.
Okay, all right, I just want to make sure on that. I know we're not supposed to get into the specifics.
No, we're not. No, we're
Okay, and I'm
not.
not going to, President Brown, I'm not going to get into the specifics, but I have a concern when you start talking about morale. So I need time to read this, and I only hope
Absolutely.
that without it being a bargaining type of thing, that we can have maybe a chance to look at this, and then maybe come back and discuss it. But you listed in your presentation items, you listed morale, you listed some other things. Do you have that list? Because like a checklist or something?
I've given a copy of my comments to Carrie Swain, and
Okay,
I'm sure
great.
she'd be happy to
So if we
give
can
them.
get that copy, I'd like to see that. And, I want to go through this, but I hope we can come back, President Brown, and readdress.
I'm available anytime.
Thank you. Thank
Absolutely.
you, Kevin.
Thank you.
Commissioner Stango.
Thank you, President Brown. Mr. Egan, one of the things that you said that bothers me the most, and this really does bother me the most, is the low morale that teachers suffer. And I can relate to that, and I'm sure Mr. Theriot can relate to that too, as you know, longtime educators. And while on the job many years ago, I felt low morale, and my people around me felt low morale, but you kind of work together and you work through it. It's a perception thing. The perception is perhaps, and wrongfully so, that people don't care. Administrators, central office, Board of Education don't care. Well, I know that they do care. It's just a matter of communication and hopefully improving all that as we go along.
I think when you read some of the comments, that it's not a perception of anyone not caring. The comments are based on physical things that are happening in their environment and immediate surroundings that are causing them to feel the low morale.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we can work to rectify that. Low morale is, teachers work a hard day, it's a hard job. And the more tired you get through the course of the day, the more your morale goes down. But there are more positive sides to it. When you have a good day, you feel good about it. And I don't have to tell you all this stuff, you know it.
Sure.
But just know that of all the things that we do, I'd like to keep the teacher morale high.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
Okay, number 5, request approval to apply for the Connecticut Department of Administrative Services Alliance District's School Buildings Grant Program second round. I believe we have a document for that.
Thank you, Madam President. With me is Mr. Sullivan. We had submitted our first round and received information back from the state that some of the items were not going to be approved. Today, the superintendent contacted the Department of Administrative Services with Mr. Sullivan, and she's worked out a compromise with the state.
Let me just say, I did get some technical assistance with regards to the application. I'm disappointed with regards to the AC units that we originally had thought we could put in place for some cooling centers for our elementaries. That's new additions. It has to be repair or replacement, so it has to be existing fixtures or issues within the building. So, and having that conversation and speaking with Mr. Sullivan today, and I had Mrs. Biola with me, Chief Financial Officer, working through the state. It's all in your wording. It's all in how you present the documentation. So looking at our priorities, we've reprioritized some of the issues with the swimming pool, the filtration systems, and the Rotella tile issues, if you want to get into that a little bit. You know, and I'm very disappointed with
The
looking
chillers, the chillers are out, that's what you're saying?
they're not chillers, they're AC units, but we feel within the department we can do those ourselves. What's in is the Rotella repair of tile, which, you know, I will say that I'm very concerned about. You know, there's so many capital improvements we can do to our older buildings, you know, take care of what we have. But to have to replace tiles in Rotella troubles me greatly. But Mr. Sullivan, if you want to talk about that a little bit more. But the filtration systems within the pools are very much warranted. It will be more cost-effective for the school system, and you know, it's badly needed. So, Mr. Sullivan, talk a little bit about the tiles.
Sure. So I guess back in 2012, the previous school inspector, John Cross, had looked at the vinyl composite tiles at Rotella as they were blistering. So it was his opinion at the time that it was due to a vapor barrier issue. So he was able to procure some product that he applied after we lifted up the tiles and put new tiles down. And since we've done that, we don't experience any of the blistering of the tiles with the migration of efflorescence and lime deposits coming through.
But that was only a portion of the floor. So this is to correct the remaining portion of the floor. The playgrounds were all approved. That were in the earlier request. And in this case, the superintendent has obtained the tentative approval from the state.
No, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say approval. I wouldn't say approval. I would
Okay.
say that I had clarification as to why the other areas were not approved. And the wording was stated to me as to what the application was looking for. For new is out, repair and replace wording is in.
Thank you.
Could I ask a question on the vinyl composite at Rotella? It says professional fees and services, $20,000. What is that?
If there was any project management that needed to be done on a large-scale project like that, if there was any engineering services that needed to be done, that's what we would look at to cover that.
If it isn't in there, then we wouldn't be able to utilize it. If we don't need it, we don't have to spend it.
I see, okay. Commissioner Vanstone?
Thank you, Madam President. Rotella, how old now?
I believe 2002 it was built.
We're talking 13 years. And here we go, another construction mistake that we have no recourse. It's getting old, and this isn't directed at you, Ms. Sullivan, at all.
We weren't here.
It's really getting old, Bob. We need to start writing these contracts so we have a recourse. 13 years, well, that's a long time, but tiles? Tiles should last 100 years. And we probably haven't replaced tiles at Washington, and Saturday we're having a 100th anniversary. Unless they're asbestos, that's a whole different story.
Right. There was a
We
reason
really
why
need some recourse.
There was a reason why there was some aggravating factor on the tile. We have had some issues with the cooling tower at Rotella, and that is being fixed, corrected under the Noresco project that you all approved.
Right, last year, yeah.
So in combination with the change, the correction to the cooling tower and the tile, we should be set.
We should be. But now you've doubled down on why I would be upset with a contractor. We had bad cooling and now bad tiles at Rotella. That's what you're telling me now. So I'm not going to give up on this part about recourse. It's getting ridiculous. We sit here and just approve sending the billing to Hartford. We accept the money they give us, but then we have repair costs that are on us. Maybe some of, in this case, the grant didn't help us.
Yes, in this case, the grant pays for the entire project.
For the tiles. I
Yes.
thought the tiles were out.
It does.
No, tiles are in.
Okay.
They're in.
So either way, it's still, you might want to call it a grant, and think about it as free money, but it's, unless it came from a corporation, it's taxpayers' money.
Right.
So the bottom line is, we really have no recourse to go after people who gave us either bad advice or bad construction. And I know we're trying to change our procurement rules. I haven't seen anything yet that told me about recourse. So this is, I'm not going to give up on this. This is something that we should not be paying for. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Commissioner Harvey.
Thank you very much. When I look at the West Side Middle School, it says repair, replace pool, et cetera. I know we had an issue with the roof. Was it West Side? And we said that until we get it fixed, we're going to replace the tile. We put a tarp on it or something, and then we're going to replace the tile. Is that included in here, or is that something else totally separate?
The West Side Middle School roof was a separate project that the state approved 2 years ago.
Got it.
That was the roof where we had an issue with the vermiculite as the fire retardant material. And until we pushed back, it was going to cost an additional $4 million.
Right.
We should know tomorrow, we finalize our meetings with the bidders, but the highest of the 2 bids that we're reviewing was at $1.5 million on that cost. So that will be, as soon as school is out, we will close the building and replace that roof entirely.
Okay.
These pools they go back to when I swam at Hamilton Park in the 50s. I don't know if you all knew a guy named Jimmy Lee. The Crosby Field was named after him. He ran the Hamilton pool. He'd come out with a bucket of chlorine. He'd take it and throw shovelfuls or spoonfuls or whatever into the pool. Was that unscientific? Now, in the last 2 weeks, Mr. Sullivan had his maintainers trained and licensed.
Correct, certified pool operators.
But still, we're at the risk of a person administering a chemical, which is scary in today's world. So he and the superintendent have come up with this, which is outstanding. It will take all of that work away.
Okay.
It completely gets rid of the chemicals.
All right.
Great.
All right, so getting back, I just want to, because I don't want to go off of what the point is of this presentation, but one of the solutions, because I asked, okay, well, what happens if there's a tile that gets wet, that the possibility of mold? And we said that one of the solutions would be we would replace it, we'd stay on top of it. Where is that funding coming out of to do that, to replace those tiles? Have we have we had to do that?
We've replaced some tiles, not a significant number, but some, and that comes out of the maintenance budget for the school inspector's office.
Okay, correct. And that's
However,
fine.
under
Yes.
this West Side Middle School roof project, the contractor is required to clean every day and replace any
Very
tiles
good.
damaged
Okay.
while they replace the roof.
All right. All right. Secondly, when we talk about, we said repair and replace. So my question is regarding the auditorium chairs, Crosby High School, Wilby. Does that fall under this category of repair and replace?
At this point, no, we didn't have sufficient funds to go through them this year. We do have them on the radar for the next grant that's
All
available.
right, so that won't fall under this?
No, it will not.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Was it Commissioner Theriault next? Okay. Commissioner Theriault.
Certainly not going to kill the messenger, because you've done a great job, you know.
Thank you.
I mean, we can't find fault with you. But it's certainly disheartening. Every single year, as soon as the weather gets warm, we turn the dial and the chiller's not home. It just seems like every single year, I mean, if we kept track of these chillers, I would say they pretty much went down every 3 years, every 2 years. We had to replace the chiller. We're talking about hundreds and thousands of dollars to replace the chiller. And these are supposed to be new schools, and I do agree we should have got a little bit more of a warranty, a little bit more of a bang for our buck in terms of warranties on some of these chillers, especially these are relatively new buildings. I mean, even our middle schools and our high schools are all relatively new. And if you look at some of our older buildings like Hopeville and Washington and so forth, in fact, the report said that they're more energy efficient than our newer buildings are, which is just, you kind of scratch your head and wonder about that. But this isn't the first time we went to Rotella. We went to Rotella. Rotella, we spent about $250,000 to get the building to come in early, maybe more than that. And the building actually came in a year late after spending all that shrink wrap money. And once we got the kids in the building leaked like a sieve. There was water all over the place. And then not too long before the building was inspected as being one of the better schools in the nation, I went over there and the whole place, all the ceiling tiles were all wet and discolored and everything, and we were able to get those ceiling tiles replaced before the building was inspected, because it's not just the ceiling tiles that makes a wonderful magnet school. It's the teachers in there and the curriculum that's going on. Then we find out that some of the floors were actually put down on cement that wasn't cured properly. And those floors, unfortunately, contained asbestos. So it required a whole different kind of fix. And if you look at the new Waterbury Arts Magnet School downstairs in the basement, you look at all the bubbles on that floor and you wonder, was that floor laid properly? That's probably going to be another place that we're going to have to look at for a fix. You look at this building. This building was loaded with asbestos. So we weren't sure we were going to do this building at the time. Whether we're going to renovate it or go new. I always said we should have gone new at another location. But others outbid me and outvoted me, and we built the building. Only to find out that upon renovating the building, we only removed half of the asbestos, because I don't know, I don't want to say emphatically, I don't know if somebody made a clerical error in terms of the mathematics, in terms of the tonnage of asbestos that was going to be removed, or the contractor made the mistake, and I don't want to go too much into it because it's currently in litigation. So I'm not going to say definitively whose fault. But at least we did sue them. At least we did come out of the water, and we did sue them, and there is litigation going on currently about this building. And I think this building came out pretty well. And I've been
Commissioner
up-
Theriault, could
Yes.
you stick to the agenda
Yeah,
before us?
Yeah, it's about schools, right?
Well, it's
It's
about
about
this
maintenance.
contract
Yeah.
that we're sticking to. So if you could summarize your comments, please.
Yeah,
As
well,
it's
that's what
about
I'm
this
doing. In a roundabout way. Being chairman of the School and Grounds Committee, I try to, be as diligent as I can and proactive as I can when I find out about things that need repair. But in summary, it is very disheartening and very chilling that the chillers are not working when we need them to be working. It's sad enough that we see many of our buildings, like Hopeville, Washington, Walsh, that you go into these buildings, they get hot, it's like a brick oven in them. So I know you're doing the best you can, but if we're going to build any buildings in the future, I think we need to grab the contractors and put some dark print in terms of the warranties, in terms of the guarantees on our buildings in the future. Is that a good summary now?
It is.
Commissioner
Thank you.
Brown?
Yep. I think it's well said. Any other questions? Thank you very much. Thank you for all your hard work. I know it's not easy. We're playing catch-up. Number 6, you're on again, I guess. Request approval of a construction contract with Waters Construction Company, Inc. for pavement preservation services at Willoughby and Crosby High and North End and Wallace Middle Schools.
Thank you, Madam President. This is a request that you approve this contract with Waters. We have already contracted with B&W Paving for doing part of this project. However, they came in significantly under the bid. So we had additional monies under the grant. And with the approval of the Director of Purchasing for the city, we've gone to Waters, who are on the paving and milling state list, so they're already pre-approved. They'll work in conjunction with B&W and pick up some of the other areas that B&W won't. It's the same general project area. It's the Wilby North End and the Crosby Wallace complexes for paving and sidewalk repair.
Okay. Thank you. Oh, Commissioner Theriault.
Yeah, I just wanted to regress for a second. You mentioned Jim Lee and the other thing, and he was throwing, all the bleach and stuff, And I can remember going to the Boys Club, and in between the Boys Club and Hamilton Park, we never had any athletes' feet in our house. But our hair, what we couldn't understand was our hair kept getting blonder and blonder and blonder. Thank you.
Okay,
Now it's going
little
away.
piece of trivia for us.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Okay, number 7, request approval of Amendment 3 to the agreement with College Board. Mr. White.
Good evening, Commissioners. The request is due to the fact that the state did cover some of the costs for the College Board SAT testing, so in essence, we're paying less than we originally contracted for. The cost coming down to $49,000, down from approximately $72,000.
When is the testing taking place?
This was for this past year.
Oh, it's-
Because it's a 3-year contract.
3-year, okay.
And we do the amendment each year, we get our pricing, and then we find out whether the state is picking up a portion or not. There's no way to know
Right.
really until we get the state budget, so when we found out, we were able to reduce
Great. Saving every nickel. Thank you.
as best I can.
What was that
Any
number
questions?
again?
We're down to 49,000 from approximately 72,000.
Okay, great.
Oh, she's going to say 49.
Put that down.
Thank you very much. Number 8, request approval to apply for the 2017-2019 Connecticut State Department of Education Individuals with Disability Education, IDEA Entitlement Grant. And a consensus is needed tonight.
Good evening, everyone. Elaine Skoronsky, IDEA Coordinator for the district. It's that time again to apply for the grant. I wrote you a summary of the grant, which is similar to the grants in the past. The grant mostly covers grant employees. In fact, about $3,500,000 worth of the grant is employees' salaries and benefits. $1,200,000 is for the autism program and for a board-certified behavior analyst. And the remainder of the funds go for supplies and technical assistance and technical programs that we have, such as the Power School for the special ed program.
In this budget, are we increasing at all the behavior people? Behavior, I don't know what you call them.
Behavior techs?
Behavior techs?
That's
or,
in the Alliance application.
But I mean, you mentioned behavior, something about behavior.
Well, we have...
Behavior specialist, thank you.
We have in our grant a BCBA, which is a board-certified behavior analyst, and behavioral therapists through Easter Seals, a third-party contractor for the preschool program.
Right.
So they do work with behavior, and we did increase, because we were able to save money when we went out to bid, we were able to purchase the services of an additional board-certified
Great.
behavior analyst.
Because that seems to be a really pervasive issue in the district, the behavior, and if we could work with the little ones, maybe it improves as they get older. So thank you for
Exactly.
doing that. I really appreciate that. Any questions? Do we know how much money we're anticipated?
Well, it's been unfortunately flat funded,
Okay.
and prior to that, with the sequester, we even lost some money. So hopefully we'll get the amount we've requested.
Okay.
If there's any additional money, they do distribute it throughout the whole state. but that hasn't been the case in a long time.
Okay, Commissioner Van Stone.
Thank you, Madam President. Reason for consensus, this is due tomorrow, correct?
Yes, I did want to get it on your last agenda, but in an effort to keep it clear, I waited until this agenda.
We had Lighthouse that we wanted to make sure.
Yes, I understand,
Yeah.
but
We've been trying to correct that, so.
I understand that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you very much. I guess Mrs. Baldwin is up again.
Good
Number-
evening.
Number 9.
Oh, consensus.
We get consensus on it?
Yes, can we have a consensus on number 8, the IDEA?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, number 9, request approval of an agreement with Area Cooperative Education Services to provide educational services to students per their IEP.
Good evening, everyone. Melissa Baldwin, Interim Director of Special Education. This is a request for approval of contracts for out-of-district placements for students with disabilities. Do you want me to go through each one, or do you want me to do all 5?
Just summarize,
Okay.
and then people can ask questions. I think it's
absolutely.
before us, right?
District placements for students with disabilities with Area Cooperative Educational Services, American School for the Deaf, Ben Haven, Specialized Education of Connecticut, also known as High Roads, and St. Vincent's Special Needs Center. Under IDEA, as you all know, the Waterbury School District is required to provide services for each student with disabilities according to their individual education plans. The Waterbury School District has contracted with all of these facilities for similar service in the past and has been satisfied with the services provided. Contracts have been updated with all applicable laws in mind. Section 6.1 on page 2 of all of the contracts states the term is from July 1st, 2017 until July 30th, 2020, with an option to extend for up to 2 years if we so desire to do so. That's something that hasn't been in previous contracts, so I just wanted to make note of that, okay? So any questions?
Commissioner Van Stone.
Thank you, Madam President, through you. We've talked about this before and trying to make sure we're getting what we asked for.
Correct.
We're seeing the contract, we didn't see the RFP, we didn't see the proposal from the supplier. What metrics are we putting in place to know what we're expecting is being delivered?
So there was no RFP process for these providers. These providers are chosen based on the past services that they have offered. Our out-of-district supervisor and social worker visit these sites. They visit the children that we have placed in these programs and go to all the IEP meetings that those children require. We have monthly attendance update from all of these providers, and they stay in close contact if there's any concerns with any of the children. In reference to attendance, and I think I said something at the Board of Aldermen meeting the other night, if children are having poor attendance or chronic attendance, we are looking to bring them back into district because obviously it may not be working for them or for their families, and we feel like we could provide something better here, even if it's homebound for a short period of time while we're looking for something more appropriate for them.
And I know we need these resources. We know we need these resources. But like I've talked to you and talked to others, when we have a supplier, we really need to start having metrics to know they're giving us what we're paying for. It's a little different, I think, for education to look at things like that. However, certainly in the public sector, in the private sector rather, your suppliers have metrics and they need to meet those responsibilities.
So
right now what's before us is basically to write, I think when you add these up, it's a few $1 million.
It is.
We're basically being asked to write a check off a contract. We don't know what they're supposed to deliver to us. We don't know what we asked them to deliver and then what they proposed, and you said there was no RFP. So how do we gauge if we're getting our money's worth?
So one of the things that we do in an individual education program meeting is we determine what services a student needs. When we're talking about out-of-district placements, we're talking about students that are so severe in whatever behavioral or emotional or learning difficulties that they're having, that we can't provide that service for them in district. So one of the things we have done is we've used similar providers that have given us a high level of service, and we have decreased the number of students at other schools that we don't feel that those students are appropriately placed. So any of these, for example, Benhaven is specialized in supporting children that have autism, and they have a very high success rate. So our selection is based on a child's needs, and then yes, we also look at cost, because some of these places cost more than others, and we try to find not the best deal, but I mean it's the best deal for what that child needs and to be successful and to make growth in their programs. I understand what you're saying.
Okay, I'm not necessarily looking for savings, because this is a difficult area to do
Right.
that. But what I am asking for is that we hold our suppliers responsible for what our expectations are. And I'm still not hearing that we really have a metric to do that.
We do that through the present levels of educational performance. We look at students' growth from year to year, and if they're not making growth from year to year, we're asking why. And if that continues, then we're removing them for those programs and putting them in ones that are more appropriate for them.
Okay, that's a really good answer to that. Thank you.
It is through the PBT process, yes.
And the metrics are different, because the metrics have to do with what the student needs, and those metrics, if I think I'm understanding what you're saying, are actually set forth in the IEP. So there are metrics, but just not what,
We're accustomed to.
right, they have to do with what the services are that are required. There's a whole page full of services, and then there's additional pages full of what they have to do and meet. So there really are metrics, and then they have to
Goals
be
and
graded
objectives.
quarterly, or at least as much as a regular ed student. So we are on top of it quarterly for following the entire package, and more often than that, when there's...
And I know you're never going to make everyone happy, right? Your customer is usually a parent that we're trying to help a student. And their passion sometimes can run a little blind. So I get it, I appreciate, the things you deal with day to day. But I just want to make sure, and I don't think there's a big market for who we need these services from either. But I just want to make sure, when we're talking millions of dollars, I really want to make sure we're doing some checks and balances to say we're at the right place. Okay?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. I'm glad you clarified that, because the metric from a business standpoint is very different than, but we do track the improvement based on the IEP requirements, and it's student growth. So I think that's really a good clarification. Thank you. Commissioner Sweeney.
For these services, the contractors have to come from a state list, is that correct?
Correct, a state-approved provider.
And the state also sets the rate they're allowed to charge, is that not correct?
That's not necessarily correct. Those
Okay.
are for,
Because I know a few years ago, the
Right.
state
State
raised
agencies, like
raised
for
the
DCF.
fees that they could charge.
right, those are for state agencies.
Okay. Okay. All right, so, in that aspect of it, in terms of, the field of where we can pick from is kind of narrowed.
That is
Yeah.
true.
Okay. And we're limited in our power of negotiation as well. Correct.
Yes, and I would say in the last 6 months, we've made tremendous headway, I think, really looking at the numbers and working with Melissa. Melissa was overseeing the outer district before she was named interim.
For a week.
For a week, but she was working with us on it prior to that. And, even Dr. Ouellette, myself, and Melissa met with, for example, ACEs, and we looked at what we were paying them and providing. We said, and, Doctor kind of brokered a conversation with them, so.
Yeah, Dr. Danny.
Yeah.
He and I go way back.
And he worked with us, and
Yes,
we
he
said,
did. He
to
did.
Tom, to your point, we're always looking what's best for the child, obviously, and especially in this situation, what's the least restrictive environment. But there are ways to save that don't jeopardize that. So if we send X amount of students there,
Get a discount.
yeah, no, really, and that helps, or, you have two students that are in separate rooms, but you're saying both need a one-to-one. Do they really? And let's look at that again. Can they be in the same room and just have one pair? And, there was a couple cases where, that was still meeting the child's needs, but, so there are ways to do it, and I have to say that I have full faith in Melissa and her team to, and from what I've seen in the last few months in terms of that account, really providing what's best for the child, but still keeping the eye on the finances.
I just worry when there's that narrow choice menu to choose from, that you don't have enough aggressive competition, and you suffer not only financially, but I worry that students suffer, that they don't get the best that might be out there and available, but because it doesn't make the state list, it's not a choice for us, so,
So
I know we have to work with what we've got, but.
Yeah. I was just going to say, I mean, depending on the disability that the child has and the services that they need, kind of determines how many programs are actually available.
Right.
So children that have autism, there are many, many providers that can give our children what we need. A narrow area is children that are hard of hearing or deaf. So American School for the Deaf is really one of the only provider. I think they're the only approved provider in the state. So it does depend on that as well, and thank goodness they have a good reputation. So I agree with you.
Can I ask, in this cohort of out-of-district places, are any of them DCF placed by the court, or are these all ones that we've negotiated?
These are all board placements.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you. Okay, thank you. Okay, seeing no more questions. Number 10, request approval of an agreement with American School for the Deaf to provide educational services to students per their IEP. Melissa? Same.
Okay.
Same.
So I did summarize for all five.
Oh, I see.
But
Okay.
if you'd like me to go
No,
through each
no,
one.
it's fine. No, it's
Okay.
fine.
I knew this was a long meeting, too.
No, that's fine. So now we're down to 14. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Update Board of Education 2017 meeting schedule. Any comments? Okay. 15, use of school facilities by school organizations and/or city departments. Number 16, use of school facilities by outside organizations and/or waiver requests. Commissioner Van Stone.
Thank you, Madam President. I notice we have a waiver request for a first time. I just don't want it to go blindly by the board, because typically we just run through these and the waivers just fly through. I would like to know why they were placed on our agenda as a waiver request, and I'm trying to scroll through our information. Our packet was 353 pages this week.
Yes.
Glad it wasn't in my mailbox. Let's see if I can get there quickly, I'm sorry. But there was at least one out of, non-city person that was asking for a waiver, and I'm just asking why it was, if it got before us, it means it met some criteria, is what I'm thinking. I'm almost there. 353 pages.
When you find the page, let us know. I'm looking too.
Well, it's number 16, and it's in our booklet as page 316.
316, okay.
That's the overview of request for a waiver is a church organization that would like a evening in July. So it's not a typical, the building's open because it's not the school year, and it's about a $1,500 waiver. So what puts them on the requested waiver list before us?
I think you're referring to the Shekinah Christian Church,
Doesn't matter the name?
Wilby Auditorium. I'm not sure why it was waived.
Well, it's not
It's a request for a waiver.
Oh, it's a
But what I'm
request for a waiver,
saying is,
yeah.
if we just kind of breeze by it, they are now on the requested waiver list, approved, and any future, they
Mm-hmm.
automatically get waived. Now, I will hold off bringing up
let's-
some of
let's
the
flag
recent
that,
activity
okay.
of people who have a waiver. So you know this has been a bugaboo of mine for years,
Mm-hmm.
and after the happenings of a couple weeks ago, will be more so.
Okay, we'll flag that and get back to you to find out the details.
Because if we just move this forward and then put it on the consent calendar, they get their waiver.
That would be next week, so hopefully we'll get that information before next week and we'll make a
Okay.
decision, okay?
And now, we've had this conversation before of taking single items off the facilities and grounds as opposed to the consent, and we've had trouble thinking we could do it. So if we don't have that answer beforehand, basically, I'll be forced to
No, we
vote
can
no
remove-
on
we
the
can
entire consent calendar.
No, you can remove a thing, you can remove an item.
I've tried that before, and we struggled with it.
I've never, I mean,
Oh, I do.
I don't remember, but
Trust
anyway,
me, I do.
I think that it's perfectly acceptable to take an item off the,
We tried that years ago. Cheshire Pool, I think, was the one. And we didn't want to take the kids out of the pool, God forbid. So if we
Okay.
can please get some information on why that's presented to us. And if I may, Madam President,
Yep.
we tried to get a procedure for waivers. We updated it very minor. I think we added a period. We really need to look at, because, let me tell you, if this was one of those workshops that was 10 o'clock at night, this would have been on consent next week, without any conversation. And that's a fault of ours. However, that happens. We need to know why waivers are being offered for the first time. Once they're grandfathered, I've already lost that battle. And it has nothing to do with the organization.
right?
And again, it's highlighted to me after the last couple of weeks. So we really need to look at this again, please. Thank you.
Agree. Commissioner Harvey?
Yeah, Madam President, is this something that we should be looking at first in committee? We have a I think it's facilities and grounds. So-
Well, the curriculum deals with facilities, I believe. I mean. I think-
Curriculum does?
No, you're right.
No,
No,
facilities
I'm
and
sorry, I was
grounds.
getting confused
So
with the
why,
field trips.
so why can't we get that on the docket for the meeting? We have a Facilities and Grounds Committee meeting next Thursday.
We can certainly look at it.
I agree.
Commissioner Theriault, we could look at it, we could add that. Sure, good idea.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
That
May I ask a
particular
question
one?
for clarification?
Yes.
Just this one or back to the policy? for
No,
next
just
week?
this one for, go ahead.
Well, just
Okay,
this one,
thank you.
but I thought we were also, I thought we were looking at the policy.
Well, that would be
That's the committee.
for next week, because it's before us, we're going to just look at that one particular item. And then moving forward, we'll look at the
Yeah, but,
policy.
Madam President, all due respect, when, we've been, I
Well, we did
can
look
go
at it
back
and we
to how many years
clarified
we've
it,
been
but
trying to
I
do
guess,
that. I'll
Commissioner
yield
Theriault.
to Commissioner Theriault.
Through the chair. We did have a meeting
Yeah.
last year,
We did.
and we reviewed this policy
So we're all set.
at the bequest of Commissioner Van Stone. We went through it, we looked at it, we tweaked it up.
Okay.
We could tweak it again, but I don't see how we're going to change it that much. Most of what happens with regard to the request being made kind of is handled downtown through the various clerks. And Bob looks at it to make sure it's okay. And if it's not, he has questions. He might come to me, or he might just outright say no. But from what I could see, I don't see a great many
No.
of these coming through that are granting waivers that aren't bona fide and reviewed and approved.
All right.
If there were an abuse, I'd certainly say this is being abused and the policy isn't being adhered to. But from what I can see, it's pretty much being adhered to.
Thank you. Bob, did you want to mention? Okay, we're good?
No, thank you.
So we will
I'll
take
get
that
the
particular...
information. I'll get the information for next week.
Okay,
Madam
and it will
President.
be on our facilities agenda? Okay, all right?
It will be on our committee agenda, is that what you're
Yes,
saying?
the facilities agenda.
Thank you.
That May 18th, there's a meeting.
Yes, there is.
Yes.
I just wanted clarification on
Yep.
that. Thank you.
Are we clarified?
Yep.
Okay. All right, superintendent's notification to the board. Commissioner?
Just in advance, I'll be recusing myself on 17B,
Good
in as
move.
much as he's my son.
17B, okay. All right, do we have executive session?
No.
No, okay. All right, having no executive session, I guess our meeting is adjourned. Thank you.